What is up, YouTube? It is DankBot003 back at it with another video. Banger as always. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys 10 sleeper cards for this format for multiple strategies. Some can be used in many different strategies. So you can counteract the metagame and steal some games that maybe are not winnable. And I also want to announce that I'm going to be doing a 500 sub giveaway. Right now we are at 480 subscribers. So as soon as we hit 500, I will be giving away a copy of Parasite, Lost Art. And if you want to enter that, all you have to do is subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Twitter, which the link will be down in the description below. It will also be pinned in the comments. And then you will just leave a comment on YouTube and like my most recent tweet about the giveaway, and you will be automatically entered. As soon as we hit 500 subs, I will be picking out a winner, and I will be DMing the winner on Twitter. So if any comments or anything like that come up about the giveaway saying that you won on YouTube, just know that it's not real. The winner I will be DMing on Twitter. That way I can arrange to send you the card. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. And without further ado, guys, let's get into the 10 sleeper cards of this format, in my opinion. So, first, I have Alpha, the Master of Beasts. I feel like this is a really generic, splashable card. There are some good, better alternatives to this card, but I feel like this card is still effective, just because it can bounce without targeting, and it can also get back on the board. It is a 3,000 beater, which is very useful. It also has a small synergy with Sprite, because you can bounce your Nimble Beaver. This helps out a lot of things like the Tearlament bodies. It can be good into a Flunder board as long as they don't have Barrier Statue, which, I mean, who am I kidding? They always open Barrier Statue Shifter. But I still feel like this is a really good card just to kind of out boards, because it can be a bounce, sometimes even bounce multiple cards, and put itself back on board, and it's just a 3k beater, so it can help get rid of two bodies. I just feel like this is a really good sleeper choice, and it's also a budget alternative to Fenrir. And you can run this alongside Pankratops, because you can summon Pankratops and pop a card. Then you will be able to summon the Alpha. So I just feel like this is a really good, maybe side deck choice for a lot of decks that have trouble going into big boards, and if you can't really afford Fenrir. So this is a really nice tech card, and it has two printings, which are relatively budget. This is without counting the Starlight, which, I mean, even for a Starlight, it's pretty budget. But I'm sure if you are going to be running this card, it's because you can't afford Fenrir. And so the Secret Rare and the Ultra Rare version are pretty cheap. So that's why I decided to include this card. For the next card, I have Heavenly ZEPHYR-MIRADORA. Now, this is a tech card that I have been thinking and testing for the Tearlament deck. Not only can it be used in Tearlaments, it can be used in other strategies. When you go up against decks that summon a monster that is just a real problem for you. But the most important application that I really like about this card is that you can play in Tearlaments for the mirror match. So when your opponent summons the Abyss Dweller, you're able to summon the Miradora, negate the Abyss Dweller, and then you're able to attack over the Abyss Dweller in the next turn with the Miradora. and then you're able to mill your cards and all that. And if your opponent is trying to mill cards from you, it stops the dweller. That way your cards can resolve during their turn when they try to mill 5. Which, I mean, if you summon this, it's going to stop them from even trying to mill 5. But I just feel like this was a really good, like, sleeper card for Dweller. Because Dweller is a real problem in the mirror match. And a lot of times, if you let your opponent resolve a Dweller or summon a Dweller, it's going to be really awkward for you when you're going second. Sometimes this can even have an application going first. If your opponent is going to try to play on your turn and something like a Rule Kalos or a Kaleido Heart, you are able to negate that effect and just kind of keep playing normal. So I feel like this can be a really neat tech card. It needs a lot more testing, but in the testing that I've done with it so far, it does have that kind of application to really make it easier to play through Dweller. So I feel like this is a sleeper card for the format. It's a hand trap, and it's really good against Dweller. And again, you can use it in other strategies to stop those monster effects that really just kind of counteract your strategy. So next for number 3, I have Ghost Spell in Haunted Mansion. I put this as a sleeper card even though it is seeing play, but it kind of just saw play for like maybe one event and then fell back out of favor because people are preferring to run Skullmeister. But I really like Ghost Spell in the sense that it counteracts a lot of the TR limit cards. It counteracts the Shizus. It counteracts the Bestials. It can stop a Called by the Grave. It can stop Sprite Elf. It just has a lot more coverage than Ghost Spell. Or it has a lot more coverage than the Skullmeister. The only difference here is that Ghost Spell does not stop the mill effect of the Ishizu cards, but you're able to stop other cards that Skullmeister isn't able to stop, like cards that revive other cards from the graveyard. So I felt like Ghost Spell should really be seeing a lot more play. It's really good going into this format. I know that it was played at one event, but since it fell out of favor, I feel like it's a sleeper card. So next we have a card, which shout out to Nesh for sharing this card. It is Murmur of the Forest. So what this card does, it says target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change that target to face-down defense position, then you can return all field spell cards on the field to the hand. So this card, it can be used in a lot of different strategies. The main way it was introduced to us was to be used in the Floowandereeze deck. It is an out to Baguska. It also outs Baguska while outing Zombie World. But not only that, you can also play it in other decks. You can also play it to counteract the Flinder deck, because you're able to set the barrier statue and then bounce the map field spell. So this can really be a flexible card. It can out a lot of trouble monsters while outing those pesky field spells. So I feel like this is just a really good card, and hopefully in the future we see it getting more play. I really like this card. It does make the Flunder versus Tier matchup a lot easier, and it can be used in both decks, which I think that's really cool. So that is number 4. Then number 5 is one of my personal favorites, which I have been preaching about since the release of Power of the Elements, and that is Book of Eclipse. It reads, change all face-up monsters on the field to face-down defense position. During the end phase of this turn, change as many face-down defense position monsters your opponent controls to face-up defense position. Then your opponent draws a card equal to the number of monsters changed face-up by this effect. Which, all that is irrelevant. All you care about is that it is a quick play spell that puts all monsters on the field face down. So, this can be used in any deck going into any board, because right now a lot of people aren't putting any Omni Negates up on the board. So this can be good going into the TR limit strategy, because it turns off all of their effects that they have on the field, while also turning off their trap cards. This can be good going into a Sprite board if they don't have Toad. The only thing they would have left is the Elf effect, which you don't really care too much about. Unless they have something crazy revive, which, I mean, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're able to book the stuff like the Red, the Gin Buster, the Mannequin Cat, all that stuff. As long as they don't end on Toad, this can be used going into that board. It can also be used going into a Flunder board, because you can book the M-Pen, you can book the Barrier Statue, and you're basically free to play at that point, unless they have Dreaming Town, but you still outed 2 really problematic monsters. You could also even pair this up with something that baits the Dreaming Town and forces them to summon, and then you force the Book of Eclipse. So I feel like this is a really cool card going in, and it will also be seeing a lot of play going into the Kashtri-La, I believe, Kashitra format next year. So it'll be really good to get your hand on this card now. And then for number 6, we have Silent Graveyard. This is a card that's been seeing some play here and there, but it doesn't really see too much play. But I feel like this is a really cool card in certain strategies that don't really play with the graveyard, or that don't really that have effects that are inherent. My bad, I kind of spaced out there. So things like Dragon Link that have inherent summons from the graveyard, or just revive monsters from the graveyard. They don't really have things that trigger in the grave. Flunder can use this. Sprite can use this. This is basically an anti-TR limit card, which I feel like it should see more play, because you can also use it going first. So when you go to play your turn and your opponent has something like a Havnis or an Orange Light paired with a Mill 5 Ishizu, and you're not playing a TR limit deck, all you have to do is chain this to the Mill effect, and you're able to play your turn, and your opponent just wasted a card in their hand. I know you're basically giving up 2 cards for one of theirs, but I feel like right now in this meta, sometimes you have to do things like that so you can get ahead in the matchup. Because if you let them mill cards during your turn and start resolving effects, it can just go downhill from that, and you can lose before, there is even more than one turn in the duel. So I feel like that was a really good card. Next, I have Blizzard. This is another one of my personal favorite cards. I really like it because it can out things like Silent Graveyard, Book of Eclipse, of course. It can also out Murmur of the Forest, things like Dark Ruler, Droplet, things like that. Board breaker spell cards that you know that your board is weak to. You can just side this in when you go first, and it'll make that matchup a lot easier, and it'll make it harder on your opponent to be able to break your board, and you just win the next turn after that. So I feel like Blizzard is a really good sleeper card, and if you have enough space in your side deck to incorporate this card, you definitely should. Next, I have a really cool card that I really like. Joshua Smith used this card in the past, um, but I feel like right now this is a sleeper card. Nobody really knows too much about. So this card is Vanity's Call. It reads, activate only as Chainlink 4 or higher, pay half of your life points, negate the activation of the effects of all cards in the same chain, and destroy them. So, what decks can you guys think that gets to Chainlink 4 or higher? Obviously, the best deck right now, which is Tearlament Ishizu. So if you're playing a deck that is weak to that, you can side this in. When you go first, it is a counter trap, so they won't be able to respond to that. You let them go off. You let them mill, 8 cards off the kit in the Murley, and once they activate all their effects that they milled, you just Vanity's Call, negate everything, and they're already behind from that because they invested so much to be able to mill that many cards, and they were going to get their pluses off what they milled. If you negate everything in that chain, they're already going to be down by so much. They have to have a lot of gas in hand to play through this, because if you're stopping, let's say, minimum 3 effects of theirs, it's going to be really hard because they only activate about 5 effects from the grave anyways. So if you stop 3 of those with 1 card, you're already going to be ahead, and they can't try to activate those again. So I feel like this is a really good card that, could cheese its way into a lot of side decks, for decks that are more slower and like to play a more simplified, grindy game. I feel like this would be a good tech. And next, I told myself I wasn't going to put any floodgates in here, but I just feel like this floodgate is really, really good, and it can help a lot of the weaker decks compete when they go first. So I have Summon Limit here. There's not really much to say. It is a continuous trap, so you know it's broken already. You just combo, go first, set this, and flip it in your opponent's turn, and you're basically hitting the auto win button. If you're not playing a back row heavy deck and you throw this in, chances are your opponent didn't have any spell and trap removal for you in that game, so you just automatically win then, and your opponent is probably just going to scoop it up after you flip this card, as long as you have a board put up. So this can help you steal a lot of games if you are playing a deck that isn't heavy on back row. And then for the 10th card, I have one of my personal favorite trap cards ever printed, Artifact Sanctum. This is a very versatile card. You can use it in a lot of decks. Obviously, the first use that comes into mind is Artifact Scythe. And there's not much to say about Artifact Scythe. It is also an auto-win card. But not only that, you can also pair it with Artifact Lancea. So the trick with that is that you side in 3 Sanctum, 1 Scythe, 1 Lancea. And depending on how your opponent plays their turn, you can summon either one of them. So if your opponent is trying to combo and trying to break your board, you flip Scythe, you're going to win. They're going to scoop it up unless they have something like Droplet or Herald. Excuse me. And then with Lancea, if your opponent has something like Evenly Matched, you let them go into battle phase, and you Sanctum, bring out Lancea, chain Lancea to the Evenly Matched, and now your board doesn't lose to Evenly Matched. You could also even use it against Fenrir. That's kind of like a mediocre way to use it, but it's mostly a card that can counteract Evenly Matched while also being able to shut down your opponent from playing with Scythe. So that's why I put that one in. I do have 2 honorable mentions. First, I have Set Rotation, which I was strongly considering putting over Sanctum because this card can help you play around evenly matched. But the only issue is that this card is at 1 and Sanctum is at 3. And I would rather have 3 possibilities of countering evenly matched than having 1. So that's why this didn't make the list for me. And next we have Earth Shattering Event. This card says if a card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, target 1 card in either player's graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. Also, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard for the rest of the turn. Now, the reason this card did not make the list for me is because it is a mandatory effect, meaning if there's no other mandatory effects, it will always be Chain Link 1, so your opponent, will always be able to resolve their TR limit card. Now, that's not all bad because all they'll be able to do is fusion summon 1 card, and then you'll be able to shut them out of the rest of the turn, which is why this is an honorable mention. But I feel like there's just better cards. But if you decide to use this, I still think you can win some games because of this card. It's still a good card. There's just better cards out there. But that's what honorable mentions are for. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found it helpful and maybe found some cards that you want to use in the future for any tournaments that you have coming up. And if they work for you and help you steal some games, let me know down below in the comments. I would love to hear about how you guys outed the Dweller with the Heavenly Zephyr, or stopped an evenly match with Sanctum, summoned Lancea, anything like that. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Next video should, if we make it to 500, I mean, if we don't, I'm still going to drop a video. But if we do, then next video we'll have the winner of the giveaway. So remember to follow me on Twitter, description down below, or link down below in the description. And yeah, without further ado, guys, Dinkbot003 signing out. Peace.